Okay, in Unit 1, Lesson 2, we're going to be looking at two different kinds of decimals, terminating and repeating decimals. Remember that any number written in fraction form can also be written in decimal form. Those are just two different number forms that serve the exact same purpose. The main thing that you will need to remember is that when you're looking at a fraction bar, so for example, in the fraction 2/3, a fraction bar just means to divide. So you can think of a fraction bar as the same thing as a division sign. So remember that when you divide, the division ends when the remainder is 0. So when you're dividing, the way that you know that the division has ended is when the remainder is 0. Now, if that doesn't happen and you end up with a repeating digit or a series of repeating digits, then you can use something called bar notation to indicate that repeating pattern. So let's just go ahead and jump in and look at this first example. So I have 3/20. So we're going to express 3/20 as a decimal. So remember that the fraction bar means divide. So we have 3 divided by 20. So 20 won't go into 3, but if we raise a decimal and drop a 0, so now we've just changed 3 to 3.0, it's still 3, but we can treat it like 20 going into 30. 20 goes into 30 one time. 1 times 20 is 20. We subtract, and now I can drop another 0 because it hasn't stopped yet. 20 goes into 100 5 times. 5 times 20 is 100. We've reached a remainder of 0, so we know that this one has terminated. It's stopped. So 3/20 is equal to 0.15, or we would call that 1500ths. Now I do want to show you one quick thing on this one. So we had 3/20. This one has what I call a friendly denominator. If you think about decimal places, we have tenths, hundredths, thousandths, and so on. So if your denominator is a number that goes into one of those decimal places easily, then you can look at it as, well, I can take 20ths and turn them into hundredths, because it takes 20 times 5 to make 100. So if I do my denominator times 5, I should be able to do my numerator times 5. So 3/20 and 1500ths is the same thing, and then I could just write 0.15 because that's 1500. So when you have a decimal friendly denominator, you can do that. And get this one, 5/9. So that means 5 divided by 9. 9 won't go into 5, so we raise a decimal, drop a 0. 9 goes into 5 5 times. 5 times 9 is 45, and we will subtract. 50 minus 45 is 5. Now we'll drop a 0. And now we have 9 into 50 again. Well, 9 goes into 55 times. That's 45. When we subtract, we're going to get 5. And you can see that I could do this forever. This is never going to end. So I can just put a bar, that's called a bar notation, over that 5. That indicates that that 5 is going to repeat. So we would say 5/9 is equal to 0.5 repeating. That is different than just 0.5 or 5/10. I would read that is 5/10. That does not equal 0.5 repeating. 0.5 repeating is bigger than 5/10, because that would continue to be 0.555 on and on and on. So it's slightly bigger. It's a little bit more than half. So you would read that as 0.5 repeating. Okay, let's look at some more examples. Now we're going to go from decimal to fraction. Well, I've got a little trick for this. If you're going to go from decimal to fraction, you can say it, write it, and then simplify it. Say it, write it, simplify it. So let's look at our decimal value. We're going to say it, -3200ths. Don't say -0.32. That won't help you. Read it correctly. So you know if you're talking about decimal numbers, you've got tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So this one looks like that. It's negative. So this is the tenths place. This is the hundredths place. That's -3200ths. So then I write it right there, -3200ths. And now we simplify. So we ask ourselves, is there a number that will go into 32 that will also go into 100? And there is, 4. So what we're really doing is we're saying, let's take -3200ths and divide it by 4 over 4, which is the same thing as 1. And when you divide by 1, you get the same number you started with. So 4 goes into 32 8 times. 4 goes into 125 times. So negative 32 hundredths is the same thing as negative 8 25ths. So negative 32 hundredths is the same thing as negative 8 25ths. Okay, we're going to write each fraction as a decimal. 8 tenths. Well, if you want to do 8 divided by 10, you can, but think about decimal places. That is the tenths place right there after the decimal. So 8 tenths just looks like that. 8 tenths. Okay, negative 3/5. So let's do 3 divided by 5. Now we know it's going to be negative, so we can pull that back in just a minute. 5 won't go into 3. Raise a decimal, drop a 0. 5 goes into 30 6 times. 6 times 5 is 30. We have a 0 remainder, so it's terminated. So it's equal to negative 6 tenths. Negative 3/5 is equal to negative 6 tenths. Okay, next one, 7 elevenths. 7 divided by 11. Okay, 11 goes into 70 6 times. Subtract, drop a 0. 11 goes into 40 3 times. Subtract, drop a 0. 11 goes into 70 6 times. Oh, looks like we're going to have a repeater. Drop a 0. 11 goes into 40 3 times. That 6 and 3 are going to repeat. Not just the 6, not just the 3, but both of them. So 7 elevenths is equal to 0.63 repeating. You put the repeating bar over both of those numbers, both of those digits. Okay, now we're going to write the decimals as fractions. So that's the tenths place, that's the hundredths place. So this is negative 14 hundredths. And we can divide that by 2 over 2 because 2 goes into both of those, and we get negative 7 fiftieths. This 2 goes into 14 7 times, and 2 goes into 150 times. Okay, next one. That's the tenths place. So we say 3 tenths. That can't be simplified, so we're done. Okay, say it, tenths, hundredths. So that's 94 hundredths. And that can be simplified because we know that 2 goes into both of those, so we can divide that by 2 over 2. 2 goes into 94 47 times. 2 goes into 150 times, and that can't be simplified any further. So 94 hundredths is the same thing as 47 fiftieths. Okay, that's it for Unit 1, Lesson 2. So you're now ready to begin working on Practice 1-2, which should be right on the back of Practice 1-1. Have a great day.